Well, a big focus. Protests have flared up again in LA as demonstrators against immigration raids face off with law enforcement for a third day. Dramatic visuals coming in from the United States. Law enforcement officers have fired tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters. Reports state that some of those protesting have ignited vehicles in downtown Los Angeles as well. And US President Donald Trump, he has deployed 2,000 National Guard troops to the Los Angeles area following these protests against immigration raids targeting global businesses. Now, the move has marked an intensification of Trump's immigration crackdown. Past National Guard deployments to California have happened amid widespread civil unrest and at the request of the state's governor. Not isolated protests that saw clashes with police, though. Democrats, meanwhile, are criticizing the US president's order, with California's governor saying administration officials want a spectacle. Others, meanwhile, call for discipline. In fact, some state that protesters should take the authoritarian threat seriously and exert maximum self-control. But this deployment that you see, the visuals coming in on the left side of your screens and the right side, many analysts argue signals to other cities that retribution awaits those who would stand between immigrants and the administration's deportation machine. Well, asked if he planned to send US troops to LA further, Trump replied, "We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Joe Biden." But he didn't elaborate. Listen in.
California, are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it. Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
Deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation, but we need to be real about this. This is about another agenda. It's not about public safety. There's clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy. I want the people of Los Angeles to know that we stand with all Angelenos, no matter where you were born.
In a rare and controversial move, US President Donald Trump has deployed 2,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles. The mission: stamp out unrest triggered by sweeping immigration raids. And now, what began as enforcement has ignited a political firestorm. Typically, National Guard troops are deployed at the request of a governor, but in a stunning power play, Trump bypassed state leadership, invoking a rarely used provision of the Insurrection Act to take control himself. The federal crackdown on undocumented migrants has ignited widespread protests. Tensions have boiled over, with violent clashes and mounting outrage over the use of military force. All this as over 100 people have been arrested after ICE agents raided several businesses in search of undocumented workers. In the Latino-majority Paramount District, residents confronted Border Patrol agents. Officers responded with tear gas as streets filled with smoke and fires erupted. Shrubs and debris set alight. The protests spiraled out of control as Trump ordered the deployment of California National Guard troops to contain the unrest. Earlier, the US president lashed out at California's Democratic leaders, branding Governor Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass as incompetent for their alleged mishandling of the violent riots. He also announced new rules banning protesters from wearing masks, escalating an already volatile situation. Governor Newsom fired back, calling the move purposely inflammatory, warning it would further erode public trust and inflame tensions already running high. Trump's latest actions mark a dramatic escalation in his broader crackdown on immigration, blurring the line between law enforcement and military intervention. As troops patrol city streets, the question now remains, just how far is the Trump administration willing to go? Samia Afsar, NDTV World.
And for further clarity on the matter, joining us on NDTV at the moment. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, White House Correspondent for KBLA, live from Washington, D.C. We also have with us Senior Journalist Matt Klink. Thank you so much, Mr. Klink, for making time for us. What exactly are these National Guard troops doing in LA at the moment? Are they simply supporting ICE, or are they inching closer to policing protesters?
Well, right now they're just guarding federal buildings. They're just doing that. But, look, from the scenes that most of the images that you have shown today are images of Los Angeles County Sheriff and Los Angeles Police Department officers. They have lost control to a large part. And look, that because Karen Bass is weak and because Gavin Newsom is weak, and they basically say that if you're in this country illegally, no problem, just keep staying here. And Donald Trump was elected to enforce immigration policies that return people who are in this country illegally to their country of origin. They showed pictures earlier on the local television of 5 of the criminals that they arrested. There was a murderer, there was a rapist, there was a person convicted of sexual assault. These are not salt of the earth, just normal people hanging out. The problem is that in California, and in particular in Los Angeles, they have allowed unfettered illegal immigration for multiple decades. And even the mere attempt to enforce the law, it freaks all of these people out. And they are violent. They are destroying the city. And because Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom refused to take action, Donald Trump federalized U.S. troops, the National Guard, and put them in place. There are only 2,000 of them there. And look, they're not inflaming anything, but the LAPD and the LAS Sheriff's Department have lost control.
Right. In fact, Dr. Quartey is also with us for a quick comment. We're currently seeing and hearing about vehicles being torched, rubber bullets, tear gas being fired. Many say Trump is actually using these immigration protests to provoke a political showdown with blue states at the moment. But take us through what you're hearing and picking up from the ground. What's the mood in the Pentagon? Are military leaders aligned with this move, or are there quiet reservations like in 2020?
Well, I can't speak to the military and their reservations, but I can speak to the LA County Sheriff. This morning, I had a chance to interview Sheriff Robert Luna right after a briefing that he had on public safety. And they were caught off guard with the actions of President Trump federalizing the National Guard in Los Angeles. And by the way, it was not at the request of the mayor. It was not at the request of the governor.
Yes.
President Trump took it upon himself to create a situation that would provoke. And listen, LA City and the state of California, we are a sanctuary city. We are a sanctuary state, which means that, we don't coordinate, with federal authorities in terms of, deporting people out of our country without any sort of justification. We're not talking about criminals that they're going after. They're going after everyday people.
Right.
There were reports of ICE agents at elementary schools, at an elementary school graduation. There were reports of ICE agents, taking a 9-year-old into custody. That's not who the people of Los Angeles are. That's not who the people of California are. And that's why you're seeing these protests in the streets. People are challenging this political stunt by the president. And let me just add the issue of due process. A big part of why folks have been organizing in the city and county of Los Angeles and across this country in opposition to the president's actions have been because where is the due process? The president cannot be judge and jury. That's why we have a constitution that is not being followed.
In fact, the governor has also said this is an abuse of power, likening what Trump is doing to that of a dictator. But whether this is about actual enforcement of the law and order, whether it's about protest control or immigration optics, well, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us with your views. We will, of course, keep in touch with you for regular updates on what's happening in LA and across the US.